Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Rebecca. This is Moving Stitches, and in this channel I generally like to chat a lot about knitting. I'm a professional yapper. I had recently been to Edinburgh, so I wanted to tell you about what I've been knitting in the month of May and tie it a little bit with this trip that I made to Edinburgh. Now, if you are here because you think this is going to be a very exhaustive guide to Edinburgh, you are in the wrong place. I lived in Edinburgh for nearly 11 years of my life. Actually, I lived in Edinburgh during my 30s, which are very formative years. As much as I would like to give you an intro and a well thought of guide to Edinburgh, I am no expert. So all of my recommendations, I think are going to be quite appropriate for like knitters, people that like coffees, books and candles maybe. But also they're really useful if you have visited Edinburgh and maybe have been to the usual sightseeing, can't miss spots, but want a different take. Maybe the take of someone that lived there and got to enjoy the life of the city as a resident. If you're new here, you may not know this, but the channel is called Moving Stitches because I decided on my last 2 months in Scotland to document what Edinburgh and life in Edinburgh was like from the perspective of a knitter that was moving places. Around this time, actually 2 years ago, I was working at a fast fashion brand in the offices because we live in a constant contradiction in life, so you'll have to sit with that for a while. And there were redundancies announced. You know, the classic thing of like, we're going to make a process and everything is going to be fine, but you know, deep down, there's a chance that they're going to sack you. At the time, there was a lot of uncertainty in my life. 2 months later, flash forward, I was one of the lucky ones that got made redundant. I say lucky in a very sarcastic way, but sometimes I do think that it was a blessing in disguise. At the time, I was not living alone. I had a partner and we kind of brought forward the decision of moving back to Spain. And through a lot of change and through a lot of struggle, because it's been a struggle, I decided to take a trip back to Edinburgh almost as a joke. I had a couple of days holidays and I decided to look at flights for Barcelona initially because I wanted to visit a friend. When I saw how expensive that was, almost as a joke, I was like, I bet you that for that money I can take 2 flights, because I have to take 2, and go to Edinburgh and visit my friends. Say no more. Booked my tickets, talked to my friends. I've just been back and it's been actually wonderful. Allow me to get a little bit candid and keep on yapping about this because I'll tie you with my knitting, trust me. Moving countries, when you've been living abroad for a very long time, it's hella difficult. So for a long time, I lived in that intersection of like who I was before I left and who I was in Scotland, and trying to kind of like manage them too and live in here in the middle is extremely difficult. I totally oversaw how difficult it was going to be to find a routine. It's not even get back, because I don't want to use that verb of like returning, because you don't really return. You kind of arrive to a place and people are the same, but you are no longer the same. And thanks to my therapist for helping me change the narrative, because you know, returning has kind of like a negative connotation of like going back. And through a lot of loss that I've experienced in the last year and through a lot of change, I've also found some really good support in my family and closest friends. I can say safely, I survived 2024 and 2024 did not survive me. Yeah, it's really difficult to, I think as a human being in this current century with the current social media scenario, to not romanticize your past or to not think that what lies ahead of you will be better than what is present. And while you might not be, and I might not be like fully happy with where I am right now, the truth is that I have it better than most people do, and I have a lot to be grateful for, and that thing of the grass is always greener on the other side is so much BS. All this was in my head before visiting Edinburgh. I was very, very excited, and I did finish 2 things before going to Edinburgh. So I've made 2 embroidery tote bags for 2 of my friends, and I took very poor pictures of them. So I hope that by the time this video is up, there's like pictures showing either side in your screen of the tote bags that I gifted my friends. One of them is a really, really big Chappelle Roan fan, and so am I. So I decided to print a little bit of the lyrics of our favorite song. The other one likes this more kind of like gothic kind of style, so I took a look at my Pinterest and I had saved for a long time the image of this school reading, which is like a tarot card that says the reader at the bottom. I did all of it in backstitch, and the tote bags are made from linen. I finished those two, and those are my two only finished objects because they took less time than knitting, but definitely took the good chunk of time. Before I left, I also cast on a new work in progress, which is the Stick Season Sweater by Rebecca Clow, but without the sticks. And I'm using this Novita Woolly Good in this grey color that my friend Anina gifted me and sent all the way from Finland. And what I'm doing is doing exactly everything like in the pattern, and I'm just taking away the texture that pays homage to the classic garden sweater. So this is knitted in decay. You've probably seen it in a million podcasts last year because it feels like everyone was making it. And yeah, I'm just knitting and stocking it because I wanted a plain good basic, but it still has that detail of the rib across your shoulder that goes down kind of like a faux hem. So this yarn is like 50%, I think it's 50-50 Tencel Merino, but it's definitely Tencel Merino, and it has a really good drape, which I'm very much enjoying. This is how far I got to it, so it's just the back and the front right. All these things about, oh, couldn't it be nice if I had like my Stick Season Sweater finished before I traveled to Edinburgh and saw Rebecca Clow at knit night, and I could take a picture with it. I mean, as an idea, phenomenal. As an actual thing to do, highly unrealistic. So that's not the whip that I took on my trip. Instead, I have still two other whips this month that I've mostly been working on. So one was the Stick Season Sweater, but the other one is still the Olga jacket, and the last one is a new sock. So I'll start with the Olga jacket. You probably want to see that one first, and then I'll move really quickly through the new sock. Olga jacket, a pattern by Petit Knit that is a drop shoulder cardigan. Really, it's not a jacket, knitted in decay with the stripes all over the place. I have knitted more in here than I actually knitted on my trip, but I think that's a good sign because that's how much fun I was having. The last time I said, I don't think I'm gonna have enough to make both sleeves, and boy was I right. When I left for Edinburgh, I had done the whole body. You can see it here. So I have done the whole body up to the ribbon because I made an executive decision that from now on I'm going to do everything except the ribbon, block it, and then finish the ribbon. So I really want to have the measurements right for myself, and sometimes I find it very difficult to know what exact length I like if I don't block before. So it's looking absolutely, it's popping so much on the screen, honestly, and the light is coming through, so it's honestly fantastic, and the details are just so good. I've not modified anything in the pattern except for the decreases on the sleeves, which I've not completed all of them because I wanted to have it a bit wider and my gauge was a little bit tighter on small circumference. It's just looking incredibly, focus there. When I left for Edinburgh, I was here, and in Edinburgh I knitted up to there. But I knew that one of the stops that I had to make was a ginger twist studio. And this is going to be the first recommendation if you ever visit Edinburgh and you are a knitter or a crafter in general. It could be a sin not to visit Ginger Twist. So far, after finishing the sleeve, I have like 12 grams left of this bad boy. And this is a DK yarn made of 50% lamb's wool and 50% Angora that is ethically sourced, and it's called St. Magnus DK. So I got another one. It's a different dye batch. This is dye batch number 16, and this color is called Scarlet. But it's a very nice yarn to get as a treat, because you can only get it in Ginger Twist, at least from what I tried to look at. You can only get it from Ginger Twist or from Loop in London. None of them had the dye batch that I needed because I had already mailed them. So I was like, well, if we're gonna get a different dye batch, we'll get it in person, right? And I mean, It is a little bit different because you can see the new one is a little bit lighter. Sometimes it does depend on the light. So like right now you might see that it's a little bit lighter, but then if I put it like that, you don't. However, we reached the conclusion, me and the staff, there were some new members of the staff that I didn't know, and they were very nice, warm, welcoming, chatty. It's a stripe, so they said, I don't think you're gonna notice it that much. In the yarn shop stuff we trust. That is whip number 1 and purchase numero uno, as well as recommendation number 1. Ginger Twist had changed location from the time that I was there to now. So I think a couple of months after I left, they moved to this new location. So now the shop is very airy, it's very big. It has your commercial yarn to your left and all the hand yarn that Ginger Twist Studio makes to your right, which is stunning. And if only I could afford it, I would totally have bought skeins from them. And I already own some things, but it's beautiful. And at the very back, you've got all your fabric, all your notions, your buttons, and all your showing things. And right in the middle of the shop, there's like different baskets with different treats. So it's a very relaxed atmosphere. You know, the kind of like building that has like very high ceilings, it's wooden floors, and it's just such a vibe. The staff are fabulous and you just generally can't miss it. Before I move to the other treats that I got there, I wanted to talk to you about my second whip, which of course is a sock that I will finish by the end of the year probably, because we all know I'm a very bad sock knitter. I mean, it could have been too cumbersome to work on this on a plane, and considering that I was flying with Ryanair, I really don't want to be that person that sits in the middle and has a lot of stuff going on, because, you know, the place is already tight. So I took a look at my yarn cabinet and I got this Mondim, which I had forgotten about it. My friend Liz gifted this to me once he went to Lisbon, and I think it's a limited edition one. And I took a look at different summerly socks that I own, but also at the sock project book that I also have on digital form. And I basically decided to knit one of the sizes, so cast on 64 stitches and then did a bit of a mix with what I wanted. Did one by one. This could be a really good entry for the soaring book called Hanan Bonnet is hosting, now that I think about it. So I started doing it like this. I don't know if you're gonna see it. And then I decided to do 3 by 1 because I don't want to do a lot of ribbing. But when I got to the heel flap and gasset, I turned it inside out and I thought, you know what? I kind of like this a little bit more. And I forgot to mention that while I was waiting in London for my connection to Edinburgh, I met my friend Nicola, who is Nicola Ferry, and has some beautiful sock designs, as well as this most recent design in the 52 Weeks of Scrap Yarn Lena magazine. And she was like, oh, that's really nice. And I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna turn it inside out. And now this is the exterior part of it, because I really like the pearls, or like the reverse stockinette, and like the texture like that. And then I did like heel flap and gasset, and that's where I'm at with the sock. Speaking of stopping in London and seeing a friend, you know, had like a lot of hours there before my flight to Edinburgh, so it was a good time to knit on that and meet with my friend. And she and Shay had been to the East Anglia Festival, and they very generously gave me, again, they did this last year, but honestly, I don't deserve the good friends that I have. They gifted me this bag, which I think is a great, it's even bigger than last year. It's a really, really nice tote bag, which I think I'm going to use for embroidery because it's perfect to keep my notions. And then these Castle View yarns in the color 106 that they got from them. And again, put myself out of the equation so you can see it. So lucky, I was literally able to meet so many of my friends that are from like different parts of the UK in this trip, and it really filled my batteries, and I was so happy to be able to meet with Nick. Flash forward, we're in Ginger Twist Studio, and you know what? You're looking at the yarn and the yarn is looking at you, and you're thinking, I have a budget, because I've not spent a lot of money this year in yarn. I think I had to spend like around 40 euros or something like that for the sweater that I made for my friend, and it was well within my budget. So I thought, if there's an occasion to buy yourself yarn, is when you visit another city. So I had saved a little bit of money and went ahead and had some treats. The first two are for me, and I wanted to get something that I could not get in here apart from this one. Never tried John Arbon, but this is going to be the first time. Exmoor sock. I think this is 60% Exmoor Blueface, 20% Corriedale, 10% something that I can pronounce, 10% nylon. And I had these two colors in ginger twist. What? I think this will probably be more, again, a scarf or like color work on something, because it's just too good to go on my feet and not be seen. That's it. A warning to my friends Denise and Marta. If you're watching now, stop watching until this timestamp, because I got you both something and I wanted to ruin the surprise for you. Thank you. So, for my two Spanish friends, I got, for one of them, another skein of this, and for the other one, she likes her pink Kinross 4-ply, and this is the British wool that Rebecca from the Caribbean always talks about, and when you wash it and you block it, it can feel cashmere-ish, and I got this too for them. Those are all my treats from Ginger Twist Studio, and at this time I was like, well, I had the time of my life here, but I need a coffee. So the following are going to be Edinburgh recommendation for knitters who actually want to like sit and have a coffee and like talk with their friends, or maybe you want to, you know, go on a wee tour and like buy some books for yourself, because I also have some book haul. Edinburgh has an incredibly diverse coffee culture. Like there's cafeterias everywhere. In one of my favorite streets for like shopping, Coburn Street, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this all right, because otherwise it's going to be a joke. You've got many cafeterias that are very popular, but that's not very close to Ginger Twist. So as soon as you leave Ginger Twist Studio, you've got Think Pastry around the corner. It's in Monrose Terrace, and Think Pastry, it's a family-run cafe that has the actual best Greek pastries in the world. The family who runs it are adorable, they're very nice, it has a very nice and chill atmosphere, it's pet friendly, it also has some vegan and gluten-free options, I believe. The coffee is amazing, and you cannot miss the Think Pastry Greek cakes, because they're fabulous. I sat there and had my coffee and I got my yarn and I knitted for a bit. Actually, I read for a bit, because I'm reading The Vegetarian at the moment by Han Kang while I waited for my friend. But another, I guess it's a very popular, at least among the residents, option if you maybe are more on the go and you want something a little bit quicker, and you're near Edinburgh Waverley train station and you're visiting the old town, would be Room and Rumours. So Room and Rumours coffee, it's in the Arches. You can just Google this. And you have like really good cake. They have curated their specialty coffee and it's absolutely fantastic. But they also have homemade goods, and their baked donuts are something out of this world. I used to go there every now and then to get like a coffee and a donut when I had to work at the office, and absolutely love it. Banging atmosphere, you've got some outdoor sitting, you can do some dining, but the place is rather small. And yeah, I had to take a coffee and a donut from there. So those are my two recommendations for like coffee and baked goods that I don't hear people in YouTube talk about often, but most people from Edinburgh have heard about them. Other recommendations, if you visit the Leith neighbourhood, which is a very lively and diverse neighbourhood to visit on your way maybe to the shore, because you want to, you know, sit in one of the outdoorsy places by the canal. On your way to the shore, there's a bookshop that I had never visited, but actually I knew. And me and my friends on that Sunday afternoon went there and I got some things from there. So it's called the Argonauts, and it's a very well-known bookshop in the community. It's a very well curated bookshop, and overall It's not like humongously big, but it's just cute and well curated, and yeah, I just had a really nice atmosphere. So over there I got 2 books, and my friend gifted me also one. Not sure if I mentioned this, but I started to listen in Storytel to this book called Sunburn by Chloe Michelle Howarth, and I decided that as much as I was really enjoying actually the audiobook, it's really good, I really wanted to savor it a little bit better by reading it. So this is Sunburn, and it's one of my purchases. Then I got some non-fiction that has been on my list for a really long time, and it's called Monsters, What Do We Do with Great Art by Bad People. I think the title says everything on the topic. What do we do with music, films and art made by people who were monsters, basically. I'm really intrigued by this one. And then my friend saw me picking this and she was like, I'll give that to you, which was very generous of her. And this is a very popular read this year, Percival Everett's James, and it's a take on Huck Finn from the point of view of James, who was the slave in the story. So I plan to like reread Huck Finn and then read this one at some point, because I really would like to take a look at the different connotations from it. So this is I would say a very nice book haul. If you maybe don't get to go to Leith, but you get to go to Stockbridge, which I doubt you don't go to Stockbridge because you must visit Dean Village. There's another bookshop that I pretty much adore that I had not a chance to visit this time, but I've been many times, which is Rare Bird Bookshop. I hope I got the name right. It's also pet friendly, and it has a really well curated selection of books, and it's one that I highly recommend you to check if you are into books and are visiting Edinburgh. But honestly, you've got so many more options, and some other options are highlighted in one video that I really liked. It was Marlene's. Marlene Knits vlog from visiting Edinburgh last year around the time of like the Gully Good Gathering Festival. She definitely has some highlights there for like food and also bookshops that are not the same as this, if you want to maybe complement them. I saved the best for last. I think I did, because I was lucky enough on Monday to meet with people from my old knit night, and that I miss a lot, that I can see their friends. But I also was lucky enough to meet someone that I had been talking to forever. If you know Anastasia from Free Your Ship on YouTube and on Instagram, you know that she has recently moved to Scotland, and although she does not reside in Edinburgh, we were able to meet briefly for a coffee and a catch up, and a kind of like let's meet in person type of thing. I always say that meeting knitters in real life is like a date, like a Tinder date going well, which rarely happens. So yeah, it was fabulous to meet her in real life. We took a picture, we spent some time together, and I really hope to get to go to Barcelona this year, but you never know. But really hope to go and to meet with her maybe there. But yeah, it was really nice to meet her, and she's as delightful and just as kind as you can sense from her videos here. So that was very cool and very exciting. But then I went to my knit night, and then I got reunited with loads of people that I'm not gonna name because they don't have a public profile, but also with people like Rebecca Clough from the Caribbean, a friend that was hosting me, Joe, who has the Made by Joe podcast here, who are 2 generous people, and as I said, I don't deserve all this goodness. Joe gifted me this really cute knitting bag. Oh, maybe? There you go. So she gifted me this one. We exchanged gifts at a point, and Maggie, who's a Scot knit, gifted me a lot of things, but the ones that I'm looking around trying to find and I'm more excited about are, first of all, these very lovely stitch markers that her daughter Rebecca, who is Sunburn, creates, and she has an Etsy shop that I'll link below. I'm already using one, so it's missing one of the square ones, but they are really nice. And because she knows this was my Achilles heel and I could not finish it and I had to drop out of the test knit, she made a Taurian scarf for me, and I can't tell you like the energy that I had to muster not to cry when she gifted me this. On Tuesday, I had breakfast with Amy Paco and Rebecca Clow, and then joined with my friend Raya for a walk to Cathy's Knits, which is probably my second last recommendation if you visit Edinburgh and you are a knitter. Ginger twist is really, really cool. But then I also find it very, very charming to go visit Cathy's Knits. It was empty when I arrived, and I think after 15 minutes I was packed. So it's a very well-known spot. And it was actually a really variety of prices that allow you to go on a budget and get something from there. So when I say this, I don't lie. It was incredibly difficult to not get like a full sweater's quantity of Jamesons. So I got only these two, which might become part of my bulky sweater, which I intend to cast on this year, or might be something else. But this is the color, shade 132, and it's just stunning. You can see we like blue here. Those are all my yarn purchases, which might seem a lot, but these were like $3.70 each. I think these were £10, and so was the county yarn. So overall, if I'm not wrong, I spent like £53.62, which obviously might be around 65 euros. And all of this, oh, definitely more, 50s, around the 57, I think, in Edinburgh. I don't think that's really bad. I think I was very sensible. Not bought any yarn since February. And no, honestly, no regrets at all. My last recommendation is something that I did not buy in person, but I actually bought online and sent to my friends. If you are into candles, you must visit. I'm hoping that they still have the physical shop, but they definitely have the online shop, Melrose Candle Co., because they have the most delicious candles that burn from the middle. They're vegan and eco-friendly, and that they're made and poured in Edinburgh. So these ones here, they've got many other things like wax melts, etc. But I got these two, and they're the ones that kind of like burn from the middle, so you never get that annoying like excess of wax on one side. And then, yeah, you know that annoying thing about candles. On my way back from Edinburgh, I was stopped in London through security because they detected something, and I'm guessing the lady, who by the way was like an exact doppelganger for the actress that plays Rebecca in Ted Lasso, she was the exact same, put this out, and she was like, oh my god, this smells amazing, can you get them online? I'm like, yes girl, you totally get. I should get a sponsorship or something for this. But anyway, another nice gift if you're ever in Edinburgh and you want to get something different that you can get in your hand luggage is the candles or waxes from like Melrose Candle Co. After all of this shopping, I returned to Spain and I kept on cracking on my stick season sweater and on my Elga jacket. But you must be thinking, okay, but what is it about that FOMO that you mentioned at the start? Honestly, this trip was not just about revisited old hounds and taking things off list. It was really about reconnecting with my friends and reconnecting with a part of me that I thought had left there, but always been with me. I know that might sound cringe, but bear with me here. And finally be at peace with who I am at this moment in my life. And I look back at that time of my life now, and I can go through my old pictures and my old videos and look at them with joy. And actually the first thing that I think is not, I'm so sad I no longer live there. I think, how lucky can one be that you got to spend a decade of your life there, living in Edinburgh, you know, and like still having the friends that you had when you lived there, and had everyone like made a little bit of time out of the routine to kind of like see you. How lucky can one be? That kind of like nagging feeling of like feeling like I'm missing out on life fully stopped, and I think I'm allowed to say that I'm at peace with that part of my life, and that I can always go back and revisit it anytime money and time allow, I guess. I'm not really sure if you've had a similar experience where you actually revisited a place from your past and you would like to, you know, tell me in the comments, and tell the others what was the thing that surprised you the most, and have you lived a similar experience moving through change. But yeah, I hope we can have more conversations like this in this channel, and I hope this was not boring. If you have liked this chatty video, I'll be back in a month, so sort of. And I really appreciate if you would like this, and if you subscribe, that'll be even better, because that honestly gives me a push of confidence to keep posting content on YouTube. And until I see you the next time, happy making. I hope you have a really good start to your summer, and I hope you're gentle with yourself today. I'll speak to you soon.